Hello again and thanks for joining. So today I've got another vintage Piko model to have a look at. I've been doing some reviews of these Piko models of this era recently, but they've all been coaches. This one is actually a wagon. It's another second-hand purchase. I actually picked this one up at the Dundee Model Railway Show this year. I've got a video about that. I'll put a link in the description if you want to have a look at the show. I think I was quite lucky to get this model. It was the only one available at the show. This box is looking not too bad at all. It's got some shelfware, as you would expect, running down the edges of the box, but it's looking not too bad overall. At this end, you get a hint about what the wagon is, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what that is in German because I've got no idea whatsoever. But I do know this is a hopper wagon because I cheated and actually opened it before I bought it, obviously. Here is the part number for the model. It's number 6426-010, and you can see here it's made in GDR. So let's get this box open and we'll have a look at what we've got inside. So as I mentioned, this is a hopper wagon and it's quite an impressive one as well. It does feel a little bit light here. It could probably do with a bit of weight into it, but let's have a look at it close up and we'll start at this end here. We've got a brake platform as normal with a little guardrail here and the brake handle. This is quite pliable plastic, which is good. It'll be able to take a few knocks and not break. And it's got a nice representation of checker plate on the little platform there as well. The buffers actually are quite movable as well. They seem to be quite soft plastic, and they are obviously additional parts because they're a different type of plastic to this part here. And that's quite interesting that they're so pliable as well. It's obviously designed to take a good few bashes and not break, so that's quite interesting there. And we've got this metal coupling here, which is attached to the bogie. You can see the bogie moving as I move this around. You've also got this little ladder here going up to the top of the hopper wagon. This is an additional part that's been added on in black plastic. And you can see some printing there of some numbers, as well as the little flashes on the corner. As we look down the side of this model, there's some more printing here of some numbers and details. These are all very clear and some of them are actually really small. I can't really see them with the naked eye here. I think you can pick it up in the video though. And the only indication of the company that owns this is this DR here, which I guess is Deutsche Reichsbahn. So that gives you some idea of the age of this wagon. There's some nice details on this panel here, including this little bit of checkerboard here and these details here of the little brackets and hinges. They look really nicely molded into the plastic there. In the middle, we've got this blob of white paint, which seems to have been applied not too good onto this piece here. It's obviously trying to pick it out, but it could have been done a little bit better. And then we have these little tabs hanging down here, part of the unloading system, I guess. There's another little blob of white paint here on this part. And then this panel has even more details printed onto the side of it here. Looking at this end of the wagon, it's quite simple really. It doesn't have the platform with the brake wheel, but it does have the printing there. And it has this really nice representation of the bracket gear here. Looking up top of this wagon, it is a hopper, and you can see it is quite old as well because it does have some dust on there. These hoppers have a very pronounced ridge in the middle of them going across here in the centre of the wagon and also running the whole length of the wagon, and that's been represented very well here by Piko. And one of the nice things on this wagon is that the sides do actually open up on here, and you can see that they're spring loaded as well. So the underside of that piece of plastic does have some moulding marks in it, so it's obviously not designed to be seen, but you can see how this hopper wagon works, and the whatever's inside here, probably ballast actually I think, would tip out the side here, and both sides open up as well, and they're sprung loaded. You can see the spring there. So now that we're looking underneath this wagon, here you can see that the coupling is attached here. There's no NEM pocket on these, it's before then. And here the wheels are on this articulated bogie, and they also have a bit of play in them as well because they're mounted onto these metal shims here. So that does give you the opportunity to add some pickup onto this quite easily if you wanted to add like an LED red flashing light at the back of the train or something like that to this wagon. So there is an opportunity there. It should be fairly easy to do. There's not a great amount of articulation on these bogies, so I don't think this is going to get round tight curves on a model railway. So you need to bear that in mind if you're considering getting this model. In the middle of the wagon, there's some really nice fine detail of the brake gear here. It doesn't link up to the bogies at all, but it is nicely moulded and it has a lot of detail on it. So overall, a nice looking and solid hopper wagon here. It's quite an impressive thing to look at. Let's see how much this weighs. So this wagon weighs 72 grams. So overall, this hopper wagon from Piko I think is a really quite attractive model. It's very impressive as a hopper, and also the actual moulding here is really well done considering its age. It's still standing up really well to today's standards. I really like the fact that it's got a little bit of interest here with the flaps that open up and allow the discharge of the contents. That could actually make it quite difficult if you're putting a load in here, like a permanent load, but you can actually use this as some kind of animated merry-go-round system if you wanted, and put real gravel or something like that inside the wagon and then have a discharge area on your layout as well. So it gives an opportunity to do that. One of the things I really love about this is the comedy wobbly buffer stops on this. I can see why they did that. These things normally get broken quite easily, but this one is going to stand the test of time with those wobbly things. It does look like quite an impressive design of a wagon, this one, and I think it would look good either on its own or in a rake of these. I've only got one, it was only one for sale, but maybe I'll get some more in time. The only downside I could think of in this is that it doesn't have NEM pockets, so you ain't going to be able to change those couplings. And in this shot here, you can see right the way through the side of the wagon because the side flaps don't marry up just 100% perfectly with the rest of the model. But that's a really minor gripe, I think. And certainly if you had a load in this wagon, you definitely wouldn't see that. And I think it's quite sad that this paint here has been added a bit sloppily. The white blobby stuff isn't quite good. That could probably benefit from being repainted and brought up to a better standard, I think. So should you add this to your collection? It's definitely a great model. It's a vintage model, but it still stands up by today's standards, and I think it would make a great addition to your collection. This one in Deutsche Reichsbahn, I guess, livery, is indicative of a time period, but I think these were used for a very long time, and you could repaint this into different liveries as well if you wanted. It's a great little wagon, and I managed to get this really quite cheaply, so I would recommend you look out for these and add them to your collection if you find them. Let me know what you thought about my analysis in the description below. I'd love to know what you think. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.